Snowy 2.0 is a hydroelectric project that aims to provide renewable energy but also has negative impacts on the environment. In this section, we will explore some of the main environmental issues associated with Snowy 2.0 and why they matter for the future of Australia's natural heritage. One of the biggest environmental concerns of Snowy 2.0 is the risk of introducing invasive species and pathogens into pristine waterways. Snowy 2.0 involves pumping water between two reservoirs, Talbingo and Tantangara, which are currently separated by natural barriers. This could allow pest fish such as redfin perch and European carp, as well as diseases such as EHN virus and epizootic ulcerative syndrome, to spread from Talbingo to Tantangara and beyond. This could have devastating consequences for the native fish and other aquatic life that live in these rivers, such as the critically endangered stocky galaxias and the endangered Macquarie perch. Some experts have warned that Snowy 2.0 could wipe out the stocky galaxias entirely, making it the first freshwater fish extinction in Australia. Another major environmental issue of Snowy 2.0 is the pollution of water quality and sedimentation of rivers. Snowy 2.0 will require excavating about 27 kilometers of tunnel and an underground power station, producing millions of tons of rock and soil waste. Some of this waste will be dumped in the reservoirs, where it could leach harmful chemicals such as iron, manganese, arsenic and mercury into the water. This could affect the health of humans and animals that rely on these water sources for drinking, irrigation and recreation. Moreover, some of the waste will be transported by trucks along narrow roads, creating noise, dust and traffic hazards for local communities. The waste could also erode and wash into nearby streams and rivers, increasing turbidity and sedimentation. This could reduce the amount of light and oxygen available for aquatic plants and animals, as well as clog their gills and smother their habitats. A third environmental problem of Snowy 2.0 is the destruction of natural habitats and biodiversity in Kosciuszko National Park. Snowy 2.0 is located within the boundaries of this park, which is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and a Ramsar wetland of international importance. The park is home to many rare and threatened species, such as the corroboree frog, the mountain pygmy possum, the alpine sheoak skink and the broad-toothed rat. Snowy 2.0 will require clearing large areas of native vegetation, blasting rock formations, building roads and infrastructure, and installing power lines and transmission towers. These activities will fragment and degrade the habitats of these species, exposing them to predators, pests, diseases and climate change. They will also affect the scenic beauty and cultural values of the park, which is a popular destination for tourists and Aboriginal people. In conclusion, Snowy 2.0 is a hydroelectric project that aims to provide renewable energy but also has negative impacts on the environment. It poses serious threats to aquatic life by introducing invasive species and pathogens, polluting water quality and increasing sedimentation. It also damages natural habitats and biodiversity in Kosciuszko National Park by destroying vegetation, rock formations, roads and infrastructure. These impacts could have irreversible consequences for Australia's natural heritage and should not be ignored or underestimated. Snowy 2.0 is a massive hydroelectric project that aims to provide energy storage and backup power for Australia's electricity grid. However, it also poses serious threats to the environment, especially the biodiversity and ecosystems of the Kosciuszko National Park and the Murray-Darling Basin. One of the main impacts of Snowy 2.0 is the transfer of water between two reservoirs, Talbingo and Tantangara, through a network of tunnels and power stations. This will introduce invasive pest fish and diseases into both reservoirs, which are currently free of them. These pests and pathogens will then spread throughout the Snowy Mountains and downstream into the Murray-Darling Basin, affecting native fish populations and freshwater habitats. One of the native fish species at risk is the stocky galaxias, a critically endangered fish that is only found in a small section of stream above Tantangara Reservoir. Snowy 2.0 will likely make this species extinct by allowing pest fish such as redfin perch and trout to invade its habitat. Another threatened species is the Macquarie perch, which has an important remaining population in Talbingo Reservoir. Snowy 2.0 will expose this population to diseases such as EHN virus and carp herpes virus, which could wipe it out. Another impact of Snowy 2.0 is the disturbance and destruction of large areas of the Kosciuszko National Park, a protected area that is home to many rare and endangered plants and animals. The project will require clearing, blasting, reshaping and compacting of vast areas of land for roads, power lines, spoil dumps, construction sites and other infrastructure. This will fragment and degrade habitats, increase erosion and sedimentation, alter hydrology and water quality, and introduce weeds and feral animals. The project will also affect the cultural heritage of the park, which contains many sites of significance for Aboriginal people and European settlers. Snowy 2.0 will damage or destroy some of these sites, such as rock art, stone arrangements, huts, and cemeteries. The project will also compromise the scenic and recreational values of the park, which attracts millions of visitors every year. In summary, Snowy 2.0 will have severe and irreversible consequences for the biodiversity and ecosystems of the Kosciuszko National Park and the Murray-Darling Basin. It will likely make one critically endangered species extinct and threaten an important remaining population of another, as well as pollute freshwater habitats with invasive pests and diseases. It will also destroy large areas of a protected national park, affecting its natural, cultural and social values. As others have noted, the project is also questionable on other environmental and economic grounds. Snowy 2.0 is a massive pumped hydro project that aims to provide energy storage and backup power for Australia's electricity grid. But while it claims to be a renewable energy project, it will actually increase greenhouse gas emissions and water losses due to its construction and operation. First, let's look at the emissions from construction. Snowy 2.0 will require building 27 kilometers of tunnels, an underground power station, and a concrete factory inside the Kosciuszko National Park. This will involve blasting, excavating, transporting, and disposing of about 20 million cubic meters of rock. According to an independent report by 30 experts, this will lead to more than 50 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions during construction and the first 10 years of operation. That's equivalent to the annual emissions of 10 million cars. Second, let's look at the emissions from operation. Snowy 2.0 will use electricity from the grid to pump water uphill from one reservoir to another, and then release it downhill to generate electricity when needed. However, this process is not efficient, as it loses 25% of energy cycled. This means that Snowy 2.0 will consume more electricity than it produces, and most of that electricity will come from fossil fuels. In fact, Snowy Hydro's own market modeling shows that Snowy 2.0 will increase coal and gas generation by 3% and 9%, respectively. This will result in more greenhouse gas emissions and undermine the transition to clean energy. Third, let's look at the water losses from construction and operation. Snowy 2.0 will create a huge amount of spoil or waste rock that will need to be disposed of somewhere. The preferred option is to dump it in the two reservoirs that are connected by the tunnels, Talbingo and Tantangara. This will reduce their water storage capacity by up to 20%, which is equivalent to losing 2 Sydney harbors of water. Moreover, Snowy 2.0 will increase evaporation losses from the reservoirs by pumping water from the deeper and colder Talbingo to the shallower and warmer Tantangara. This will waste about 20 billion liters of water per year, which is enough to supply a city of 100,000 people. In summary, Snowy 2.0 will increase greenhouse gas emissions and water losses due to its construction and operation. It will also have devastating impacts on the biodiversity and ecology of the Kosciuszko National Park, as it will threaten endangered species, pollute freshwater habitats, and destroy thousands of hectares of native vegetation. Snowy 2.0 is not a renewable energy project, but a white elephant that will cost more and deliver less than promised.